right, let's go on and graph the function negative cosine of x over 4. I would graph this one too. There are two changes that are going on in this cosine function from its parent function. The negative and that fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rewrite this as y equals negative cosine of 1/4 of an x. Is that the same thing? Yep. Okay. So my a value. What is the value of a? It's a -1. What's the amplitude? It's 1. Absolute value of -1 is 1. What's the b value? 1/4. So now let's see how that 1/4 changes my period. So period equals 2 pi over b. So 2 pi over 1/4. What do I do with a fraction over fraction? Reciprocate and change it to multiplication. So we get 2 pi times 4 over 1, which is 8 pi. So now it's going to take a distance of 8 pi to do one revolution. So from the parent function, it's going to take us a lot longer. It's going to be a more stretched out cosine wave. The last thing, is there a reflection going on?
Yes.
Yes. There is a negative a. So yes. How this affects, the way I remember it as a student, is the difference when you have a negative with a cosine, instead of starting at the top of the a, we're going to go to the bottom and start there. So I just remember start at bottom of that amplitude. So what I'm talking about is if we go back to the parent function here, remember where we started here? We would instead start down there for this. All right, so no shift changes up or down, so we can go ahead and graph its amplitude. So the amplitude is 1. So we're going to go 1 up and 1 down. Just lost my connection. All right, and how long is the revolution?
8 pi.
8 pi. So over here, oh man, my launch pad is going up to 0. Great. So now we split it in half. Use your midpoint formula, or what's half it between 0 and 8? 4 pi. And then halfway again, it's 2 pi and 6 pi. I'll be watching these videos and going, what's going on? Like that? Now it came off.
No, I mean like smaller on the timeline.
Sure, yeah. You just have to denote those angles for me. You don't have to use a ton of paper. But we are, when we give you a test or quiz, we're looking to see, do you know what those pieces on the x-axis are? Okay. Now, there was that reflection. So instead of it starting at the top of the amplitude, it's going to start at the bottom. Now, where's it going to go next? Where's the pattern going? 2 pi, 0. 4 pi 1, 6 pi 0, 8 pi -1, back to where it started. The only difference between sine and cosine function, which we talk about on Monday, is there's a translation to a shift change, a half of a pi. So there is the one revolution, and then can you continue it on? Yeah. Is that okay if we skip that piece? All right. All right. This one will go fast. I want to introduce what happens if you have a negative sine function, the difference. We just talked about a negative cosine, so everything else is the same in the parent function. So this will go quick. Amp is 1, b is 1, so what's your period? 2 pi over 1, which is 2 pi. Is there a reflection? Yes, there's a negative a right there. This tells me I have to reflect it. So the way I remember to graph these, remember how the sine function goes up first? It's going to go down first. It starts at the same place, but you go in a down direction is the way I remember it. So 1, negative 1, 2 pi, 0, pi, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. Give me a minute to catch up there. So we're going to start in the same middle, but normally the parent function would go over pi over 2 and then up 1. We're going to go over pi over 2, but down 1. We're going down first. And then we're going back to the middle, then to the top, and then to the middle. That's the only difference. That's how you can do a reflection. Let's talk about this, and then we'll go to the last example in the last movie. Some textbooks do the vertical translations up and down, written in an equation in 2 different ways. If you see y equals, let's say, for example, 3 plus sine of x, my recommendation, your book does this, I want you to be aware, rewrite it like this, the sine of x, and then plus 3. Because this is the d movement, which means it's going to go up 3. Okay? Students get kind of tripped up on those ones because they think that might be part of the amplitude. It's not. Rewrite it so it has that 3 at the very end. And then I'll do the last video with our last example.